Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, this is a special one. This is the first time on the channel we have a guest. But firstly, before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you never ever miss out on a video. Hit the post notification bell so you're always alerted as to when I drop a video. But of course, to those of you who are regulars on the channel, you guys know my love-hate relationship with Arsenal Football Club, the Gunners. Now, in today's video, I decided after a very tumultuous week in the Gunners season, a loss to Newcastle in the Cup, exiting in the fourth round or the third round against Manchester United, it would be only fitting, and of course the North London Derby victory against Spurs, it would only be fitting to bring a guest on the channel. The first ever guest in the history of the IO channel. I would like to introduce you all to Shaquille and welcome to the channel, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure being your first guest. I'm super happy to be here, bro.
It's good to have you on. Now, of course, those of you who are new to the channel, this is my good friend Shaquille, longtime Arsenal fan since primary. Since primary school, he's been there through the Wenger days, all the hard times, he's been there. And today I'm just going to be talking to him, talking about football, talking about Arsenal, what their problems are, what the solutions may be, and the question that everybody wants to know the answer to. Can they go on and win the title? That's the question that I think everybody wants to know. Now, first things first. The first question I want to ask, before we even get into the nowadays, right? You talk about what's happening at the Emirates Stadium. I think the first thing I want to do is, Shaquille, being the first guest on the channel, I think this is something I'm going to do for any guest that comes on the channel. Being a lifelong Arsenal fan, I just have two good questions for you. Now, those of you watching, I have not asked or even rehearsed this with Shaquille, so he's going to be on the spot here. What is your best Arsenal memory?
I'm going to say the 2017 FA Cup final, 2-1 against Chelsea. I think when Ramsey scored that goal, I think Giroud scored the winner. I thought Giroud scored the winner, Ramsey scored the winner. I know both of them scored, but that was my best moment, bro. Like, very excited. Because that was a time where, like, nothing was going well for us. So winning the FA Cup really meant a lot to me.
Yeah, towards the end of the Arsene Wenger period, where everyone was screaming Wenger out.
Last by one season.
That's a good one. I remember that one. I think that was during the Sanchez days.
That was 16-17 when Chelsea looked unbeatable. Like, I think they beat us 3-0 at Stamford Bridge earlier that season. So
that Hazard drinked past everybody and left Coquelin on the ground. So yes.
I was like, oh, we're gonna lose this. But then, like, we just won, so I'm like, oh, means a lot. That actually meant a lot to me, for real.
That's a good one. It's always a good day to get a win over the eternal enemy. That's a good one, other than Spurs, of course. And of course, I think a question you also have to ask is, what is your worst Arsenal memory? Now, of course, Shaquille, you guys need to understand he's been supporting this club through the banter era. So what is the bottom of bottom, rock bottom, as they would say? What was that moment that you were like, man?
I have two.
Two? Okay.
The first one would be 18-19 Europa League final, the 4-1. That was like one of the first football games actually last game, right? Yeah, apart from that World Cup game, not the World Cup, AFCON, 2015 AFCON. This was one of the matches that made me cry because our whole season was dependent on that. Because up to then, like, basically when the driving seat for top four, I think Unai Emery changed the focus to Europa League rather than in the league. So we had fumbled the league. So, like, we finished like 5th or 6th that season. I don't really remember, but like, so that game meant win this Champions League, and we lost 4-1. And I was so distraught because I'm like, so what are we going to do? Like, our whole season was to qualify for Champions League rebuild. And now we don't have Champions League, so what are we about to do? And since then, that's when we started. I think the next season we finished 8th, then 5th.
That was when Arteta then came in, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one.
And the second one was...
the second one?
2021 Europa League against Villarreal. When we couldn't finish all our chances, and then we couldn't go to the final. Yeah, so that was another one where, like, it was just qualify for Champions League to rebuild our team. And it didn't work. But, like, when I look back at it, I'm actually thankful we didn't qualify for the Champions League then. Because now, like, without them, I'm pretty sure we have the backing we have now. Because when we didn't qualify, like, the club structure changed and everything. It's up backing Arteta, signing players like Ramsdale, Odegaard, Gabriel was already there. Saliba was also there. Like, who was Ben
But
White came
he was
that
out
year
on
as
loan
well.
at Saint Etienne, yeah.
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 So
Those
like,
are
I'm
two
just,
landmark moments, I think, as you said. Definitely
yeah,
landmark moments in Arsenal's current predicaments. I think, yeah, for sure. That Baku game, I vividly remember that year because it wasn't showing in, because we both lived in Ghana at the time. It
yeah. Guy
wasn't
was
showing
she
in
also
on
a super
any
sports. I had to
TV.
wait. I had to watch it on French commentary, bro. Canal. I remember it was Canal
Yes.
Sport. Canal Sport
Yes,
Plus,
it was
bro.
Canal Sport. And that was Eden Hazard's last game before he announced he was going to Real Madrid, and he put on a show.
Yeah.
He put on a show that day.
Put it in the
That's fair.
show,
That's
bro.
fair. That's very good to hear. Of course, like I'm sure that you probably grew up supporting Arsenal, maybe due to family, or was there a specific game to you
Yeah.
that was like, this is why I'm gonna support Arsenal?
I just fan one of my closest cousins. He was an Arsenal fan, so when I was old enough to actually like understand football, I just followed in his footsteps and watched like Arsenal. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, enough with all the sentimental backstory. Let's get into the brux of things. Right. 24-25 season. Arsenal sits second in the Premier League table as we're recording this video. They're playing Aston Villa this weekend. And they're 2-0 down. Is it 2-0 or 2-1? 2-0 down against Newcastle from the first leg. And they're out of the FA Cup. And they're going into the... Most likely you're going to qualify for the round of 16 of the Champions League, being in the top 8.
Yeah.
And I think...
hopefully.
Even though when you list out all those things, it seems like the season isn't going terribly for Arsenal. Things are probably going pretty well. You would have expected to be challenging for the league title. You are challenging for the title. You would have probably hoped to do better in the cups. I mean, you're still in the semi-final. There's still a second leg to play. But there are still trophies to be won. There are still games to be played. But it still feels as though Arsenal as a whole, there's so many problems at the team. There's so many problems with the manager. There's so many problems within the fan base. It feels like even though there's a lot of good things there, people still aren't happy. And that then comes into the problems that you have at the football club. And I wanted to come and ask you, rather than me just consistently coming on the channel and negatively speaking about Arsenal. Shaquille has constantly told me about that, saying I never have anything good to say about Arsenal. So I said, all right, then you come on and let me know what you think are the major problems. I'll let you let me know what you think, and then I'll probably give you back my own problems that I think you guys need to work out, whether it's in this transfer window or the next.
For me personally, we have two problems. We need an out-and-out striker that fits our system. Like, don't get me wrong, Gabriel Jesus is an excellent striker. He does the job. Yeah. But we need someone with Kai Havertz build that can play like Gabriel Jesus. I don't know if you get what I mean. Because Jesus doesn't have the physical ability to do... that's why Havertz always starts like above him. And that's why
because
I believe
of his physicality.
Another striker, yeah. Because Jesus would be an excellent backup. Like, I would love to see him come off the bench. The same way I've said I don't like Trossard starting. Like, me personally, I hate Trossard when Trossard starts. I love him off the bench, though, because he's just more focused when he's off the bench. And for me, that's what I love. So, the second issue is we need a backup for Saka. Like, someone, a superstar who is willing to sit on the bench and not lose confidence. I think that's the problem with Sterling. Sterling has zero confidence. That's why he's like, he doesn't see him, he's doing well. And to me, that's just our two problems this season. Because if you look at all our draws, our losses, we don't finish our chances. City, Fulham, Liverpool, Everton, Brighton. I think there's one more draw. I don't remember.
Home and away.
Against.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Chelsea as well.
Those 7 games, if we had a striker, most of those games are wins. Most of those games are wins. Yeah, we're winning them. Especially City away, that's a game we should have won. If not for that red card. I believe if not for that red card, that's a game we would have won. I don't know about the rest of you guys in the football world, but that's just me. And I believe we should have beaten Liverpool at home as well if we had a striker. Because that game that was a football game. We didn't sit back. We played ball. We were going head to head. And it was just we didn't have someone to finish our chances.
You didn't have someone
and
to take,
even when you look at the cup game we just lost against Manchester United and even Newcastle, our problem was a striker. Because if you look at the chances Odegaard was making, there was someone else on the wing. I forgot who it was. but Odegaard was making many chances, and you just
Yeah.
see Kai Havertz swinging his foot at it. Remember, I was watching the game when we got to the shootout. I'm like, this game that Kai Havertz has had, he's about to miss a penalty. And I think so on our GC that this guy's coming to
Yeah.
miss a penalty. I'm
He's
telling
coming
for my
to spawn this
television.
penalty.
And then he just seemed like he looked like someone who had no zero confidence. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, we're out.
That's true.
But what's next? Because true, we haven't had a bad season. People are just complaining because our performances isn't like transcribing or translating to points. Because there are games that we should have won that we didn't win, and Liverpool are pulling away. And if you look at performances, Liverpool haven't played that much better than us. It's just the fact that
Ooh,
we are not finishing our chances. And teams like Everton, Brighton, don't get me started on Brighton. Brighton actually pissed me off this season. Everton, Brighton, Fulham. Those are games that we shouldn't be dropping points to.
Brighton,
and even
I think
Chelsea, we should be beating Chelsea, bro. That was a game we should have won. That was
at
just,
the bridge?
Yeah, that was just lack of concentration on our part, like for them to concede that goal. I think, was it Neto? I think it was Neto that
Yes,
scored.
Neto.
Yeah.
Put it past, was it Gabriel who was trying to block it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good goal.
That was Kai Havertz. Like, if you look at the game, Kai Havertz was in midfield that game.
He missed a few chances in that game. Yes,
he was
he did.
he was in midfield that game, and he left space for Pedro Neto to like run into and shoot. If
And
he
have
was
the shot.
marking his man, there was no space for Neto to dribble into. Neto is passing about someone else, and I think Timber was on the left that game. Timber is definitely picking that ball off Neto, and we're going to go on counter attack. And I'm pretty sure
Counter attack.
And
So do you
another
think
factor
that's-
too is injuries.
Yes. Oh, injuries. Yes, that's a huge thing I was going to talk about. Yes. What do you think that's? And when you mention injuries, for example, I believe that. Okay, before I even mention injuries, quick note on Kai Havertz. Do you believe he's best in the midfield or in attack as a striker?
Off the bench. He should come off the bench, backup striker. Like when defenses are tired from Saka, Martinelli terrorizing them. That's when these lazy folk, Trossard and Havertz can pick the game off.
Can pick the game off.
I like how Havertz. He makes good runs. He just like he reminds me of Ozil with less ability, because Ozil used to have this nonchalant game way that doesn't care.
Game,
When he's on the ball, he slows down the game, and I feel like that's what Havertz does, but he doesn't have the ability to do like as much as Ozil did. If you get what I mean.
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. And then you talked about so many players and injuries, and so many players who just are not performing. I'm guessing you would include Martinelli in that. You talked about Raheem Sterling's lack of confidence, as well as Leandro Trossard's inefficiency when he's starting games. All these players you've mentioned, I mean, barring Martinelli, these are all Arteta's signings. And I remember during the summer, I told you, and I actually made a video about it, and I talked about the 2-2 draw where you mentioned that you guys probably should have won the game, and I think if you didn't get that red card, you would have won the game. But I think you readjusted really well to get a point and move on. That was a point when Man City were still a threat. But you look at the summer transfer window, considering you finished only 2 points behind Manchester City, the league title was there to be gotten. And then you look at the window that you had. You bought Calafiore, you bought Marino, and you bought Raheem Sterling on loan, obviously. And I know people have been talking about these Arsenal attackers. They're not good enough. They're not effective. But these are Arteta's players at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw last year that you guys were not effective going forward. There were many games last season where I watched it, and even games this season that I was watching a video by James Lawrence. He was talking about how so many of Arsenal's games that you guys have a higher XG, you win the game. And then even the games where you don't have as high an XG, you still win the game because you're so efficient in set pieces. But then in those certain games where, you know, especially recently, where you have a higher XG, like the Newcastle game. I mean, let's be honest here. I watched that game, and I think you guys had almost 4 XG. You had like 3.6 or something ridiculous like that. I don't feel at any point in the game Newcastle were really under threat, if you get what I mean. Like, you create the half chances, you create the pop shots, you create, you know, the 1-2s, but I feel like when I'm watching the game, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, Newcastle are really reeling here. Newcastle are really under the cosh here. Newcastle are holding on. Against Tottenham, I felt that. But I think that's more to do with Tottenham not being. I think Tottenham at this point, it's easy 6 points. Year in, year out, easy 6 points. Home and away,
What you do on
you get your
Tottenham?
6 points.
Shit.
You get your 6 points and you move on. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like people are saying these players aren't good enough, they're not good enough, but at the end of the day, it's at Arteta. And it goes back to the thing that I've said on the channel before, that after you guys had that very exciting season, 22-23, where you took City all the way and then you kind of fell off towards the end, do you believe that that had a huge effect on him? And do you think that, okay, now this season, whether you win the league or not, do you genuinely believe going into next season? Because I feel like you guys have all the right fundamentals. You hold teams back in their box, just like Man City used to do back in the day. It makes it so difficult. And I think that's the reason why people find your game so difficult to watch, is because you're dominating the game. You dominate all facets of the game, but you're not able to get that final killing goal, that final killing pass. But then, do you actually believe that Arteta will go into the window next summer and get those players that will take you over the line? Or is he just going to go out and buy players like Zubamendi that we're seeing? I'm sure you've seen that in the news.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't see how Zubamendi makes Trossard a better player. I don't see how Zubamendi makes Kai Havertz a goal scorer. I don't see how that makes Gabriel Jesus a good player. You guys need attackers, but it doesn't seem like Arteta is too fussed about that. Or do you think it's a money issue? What do you believe is the problem?
To me, when you when about signing a striker, you hear rumors, oh, we're signing Sesko, we're signing Isak, we're signing Valovic. That's when Gabriel Jesus all of a sudden, I'm the best striker in the world. Oh yes, I'm scoring hat-tricks in preseason. Season starts, he's scoring 5 games in a row. This season wasn't Jesus, it was Kai Havertz. He was scoring, I think he scored in almost every home game, like for the first 5 games. And when you look at that,
he did.
If I'm a manager and my players are firing on all cylinders, the transfer window, and then like at the beginning of the season, I'm like, okay, maybe this season, this is the year we don't need to sign another one, and my players are firing all cylinders. Like, I'm not defending Mikel Arteta here. I believe we've seen enough. He should know how his players are, and he should be looking to sign a striker. And I believe, I don't know what's going through his head. I feel like that season where we lost Saliba to that back injury against Fulham and Sporting Lisbon, that's when our season fell apart. And I feel like because it was a defensive problem, and he believes that Man City haven't changed that much, and Liverpool just changed. Man City haven't changed that much. He believes, okay, if I just improve my defense, what caused me the last time, this time will work. And it almost worked last season. But, we don't have the depth, the squad depth to compete over all these 3 seasons. And I feel like next year might be the year where we fall off and build back again. Either we fall off and build back again, or we fall off and the process is over. Me personally, I would love to see Mikel Arteta succeed as an Arsenal manager. He was the captain, not a vice captain, in and out captain when I was a fan, when I started watching football. So obviously, I'm in love with Arteta. And like through Pep, I was a Barca fan. Pep, I grew up watching Pep, Tiki-Taka, pa, we go. And the fact that Arteta is a disciple of that, and that's the football he started playing, but he doesn't have the players, and now that he has the players, he's moved to a system where he knows how to defeat Pep, so he's playing that system to defeat Pep. And he's like, no, we want to see good football. But to him is, if you play good football and there's no result, what's the point? Do you get what I mean? So I feel like that's why I keep on signing defenders, midfielders. And every time we sign a striker, his strikers are performing. So to him, it was like, okay, no, I'm not signing a striker this then. Let me focus on the back line, if you understand. That's what I think he's coming from.
I totally get what you mean. Because at the start of the season, Kai Havertz was definitely performing. It wasn't a case of, oh, Arsenal desperately. I remember the narrative back then was, what was it called? They were saying that Kai Havertz, you can have him win you the league because you have, Martinelli scoring 14, you have Odegaard scoring 12, Saka scoring 15, Jesus scoring 10. That was the belief before. And I think now that those things are kind of drying up, now you're seeing Arsenal resorting more to set pieces, which is it's a valid way of getting to goal. But when that's your only way of getting to goal, that is a major problem. And I think in that monologue that you went on there, you also answered my question that I was going to ask you about whether you actually believe that is Mikel Arteta the right man? Do you think he has to go? If you still don't win the league this year, if you don't win, I don't think you'll win the Champions League, me personally. And most
I mean, there's
likely
a
you're out
chance.
of
You
the
never know
EFL
with
Cup.
football, bro. There's a chance.
You
There's
never
a
know.
chance.
There's a chance your defense is good enough to probably win you the
Yeah.
Champions League, because we saw it with Chelsea a few years ago that if your defense is strong enough, you can win the Champions League. But I don't think you have those X factor players. I mean, Chelsea didn't have those players that year, but I wouldn't say Arteta is as good of a tactician in those sort of games as Thomas Tuchel.
As Thomas Tuchel,
But
yeah.
exactly. But of course, the season's not over. You still believe in Arteta even past this season, but even the way we're talking about it as if the title race is over, everything is done. You there mentioned it, that the Champions League is still there, and this is a year that I think the Champions League is there to be gotten at. I think a few weeks ago, if you asked anybody, they would have probably told you Liverpool. I'm still of the belief that Real Madrid will somehow find a way to win this trophy, despite being absolutely rubbish this year. They always find a way, man. But anybody can win it this year. Man City are not really that good. Liverpool, you've seen these past few weeks that there's weaknesses in that team. Arsenal, we've talked about it as well. Barcelona, my team. I think we turn up in the big games, but consistently we don't do it at that level. So
we have the same problem, but Barcelona also the same problem. Like, if you think about it,
Barcelona's main problem, I've talked about it in our video, is that we play such an intense and high risk style of football that we can't do that for an entire season. So in a league season, I don't think we'd come out on top. But in like a Champions League setup or like a Super Copa that you saw it, where you're playing one game in a knockout format, I think this team can get up for those sort of games. But in a league format, I don't think so. Whereas Arsenal, I think they're more set up for a league format, because you guys don't really have those X factor players like Rafinha, like Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So the next question that I have for you, and ultimately the most important question of the video, is the title still there to be gotten at? Because a few weeks ago on our GC, as Shaquille referenced earlier, we have a Liverpool fan there, and he's one of the most pessimistic Liverpool fans of all time. I mean, he's been burned by Man City, I believe, 3 times now. So this man, he's tired of it. And he's still been telling us, even when Liverpool were high flying, they were beating Man City, beating Real Madrid. He told us it's not over. It's not over. It's not over. And I mean, he's being proved right. Arsenal are 4 points behind Liverpool now. Liverpool still have to go to Brentford this weekend, which is not an easy fixture whatsoever.
They have to play Everton as well.
And they still have that game in hand.
That's without Son Dice though. So we never know.
An Everton game against David Moyes at Goodison Park, the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. They still have to
Everton
go to
really want to lose that.
Exactly. They still want to go to the Etihad. They still have to go to, I believe they still have to go to
Old Trafford.
Which other big games? They've gone to Old Trafford.
No, they haven't. Oh, have they?
I think so. They've gone to Old Trafford. They beat them 3-0. They still have a lot of big away games, because I know a lot of their games in the first part of the season were at home. They still have to go to Villa Park. They still have a few big games here and there that is going to be a bit difficult to manage. But as I said, the question really for you is the title race still on? Do you still believe in your heart of hearts, can Arsenal win the league? That's the big question.
I mean, with the quality of squad we have, I believe there's always a chance, but to me, it's not up to us anymore. It's up to Liverpool to mess up. And I feel like Liverpool have enough experience with Van Dijk, Alisson, Trent, Robertson to not mess up. Salah to not mess up. They've been in this. I feel like this is their third or fourth. This is their fourth title run. So they know how to, like, what games to play well in, what games sit back and, like, just attack, score one, go sit back. They know what to do. And that's the difference between us in 2022-23 and Liverpool now. We didn't have a defense. We didn't have experience. Nothing. We're just
you didn't have those X factors.
We're just wahala. Oh, we're playing good, because I believe that season we wanted top four, top 3. We didn't want a title run. I think that basically like sped up everything for Arteta's plan, because already the squad has like skipped a few steps and we're already here. So why should we go back just to improve? If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between us and Liverpool. Us then Liverpool now. Liverpool have the experience. So it just depends on how they play. On us not. It depends if they burn out as well, because they were high flying me on this season. I hope they burn out. As an Arsenal fan, there's still a chance. But as a football fan, I believe it's not in our hands. It might be over.
That's fair. That's fair. I personally think, I mean, if you asked me this, as I said, if you asked me this 3 weeks ago, the way Liverpool were playing, the way they looked genuinely unbeatable, I would have told you no chance. And I think Liverpool are there to be gotten at. They genuinely are. I don't think this team is going to win out of their remaining, I believe they have like 17 games left. I don't think this team is going to win even up to 13 of those games. I think they're going to lose at least 3 of those games. I think they can be gotten at. But the problem is, when I look at Arsenal, I don't see a team that is going to be right there waiting to pounce. I don't know. I don't see that, because Arsenal still have to go to Nottingham Forest. Arsenal still have to play Man City. Arsenal still have to go to Anfield. These are not easy games. And I know, I just look at that attack, especially I look at Bukayo Saka out for, 3 months?
He's coming back in like end of next month. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That's what, early March? And that's even if everything goes smoothly. I mean, hopefully everything does go smoothly for him. But, man, I just don't see Arsenal being there to take over. But you never know. Of course, that's always the interesting in football. That's what we love about it. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
honestly, you never know. Unpredictable. But of course, thank you so much, Shaquille, for coming on. It's been a pleasure, my brother. It's been really fun.
Pleasure to be here, my bro. Hopefully, I can come back again next time I'm here. We are the champions of England, champions of Europe. So hopefully, thank you, bro. Bless up. Happy New Year to you. So,
Happy New Year to everybody. Of course, man. Thank you guys so much for checking out. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure, Shaquille, as I said. Hopefully, we'll have you more on the channel. But of course, it's been your boy, Ayo. If you guys have any other thoughts, comments you'd like to add, put it down in the comment section. Let me know. Arsenal fans, non-Arsenal fans, what do you think about this Arsenal team? What do you think they need to do to improve? I mean, they're doing pretty well now, but what do you think are the major problems? And whatever those problems are, what do you think are the solutions that come with it? Of course, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment if you're new. And as always, take care of yourselves.